Hello and welcome to the second part of the video, which is the question and answers. So the very first question is that I get a lot is the swirl action in melt and pour. A lot of people don't believe that you can do it in melt and pour and they're stunned. They think it's cold process soap when it's actually melt and pour. So a few tips is contrasting colors. As long as you have contrasting colors, you don't always have to have white in there. But if your colors vary as far as contrast, you should be able to get a good color contrast in the swirls. Second is the right temperature. You want your soap as cool as possible. The cooler it is, the thicker it will be. But you don't want it to be too cool to where it starts to set. I typically do not use a thermometer. I kind of have a gut feeling as to when it's the right temperature to add my fragrance, as well as pouring. The other thing is patience. As you saw in my mole video, I had, I don't know what, 4 or 5 colors, and there was a couple times I had to zap it in the microwave. I think for this technique, 4 colors should be the max, unless you don't mind zapping it in the microwave a few times. Also, you want a cardboard or something that you can use as a slant. You don't want it to be too tight where you struggle, because in my video it was kind of tight, so it was a little harder, but you want it just to make sure that it's a good fit. So this is just perfect. And then you put saran wrap over it. I usually can get about 2 pours out of this, of course switching the saran wrap, and as long as there's no soap that got onto the cardboard, I'll use it again for a second time. So in order to get the swirls, it does touch the bottom at first. I don't know, I'm trying to show you as good as possible. So you want the cardboard at an angle, and then you want it to touch the bottom at first. And as you pour and alternate your colors, like I did, I think I did black first, and then I added the white, and then I just lift up. And pouring the soap will lift the cardboard up and help you anyways, but you just lift up and then you just alternate your colors. So that's all you have to do. And then once you got completely up, you just wipe the excess off. And then if there's any other designs that you want to do on top of it, be my guest. This is a technique that I saw in cold process, and I wanted to get the zebra swirl effect, and I thought I could do it in melt and pour, but I could not. But I found that it gave you beautiful swirls. So this is one of my favorite techniques that I like to use to get the swirls in my soap. As far as this mold I got from Nurture Soap. It's a 2-pound mold for cold process soaps. And I did not realize that cold process and melt and pour differ. So when I was getting ready to pour, I realized that 2 pounds of melt and pour soap didn't even fill up to the top. So then I was like, oh my God, I'm missing soap. So then I realized that this is really for 2 pounds of cold process. And then of course for melt and pour, it's between about 3 pounds of soap, or 48 ounces. I typically go between 48 and 50 if I want to kind of have it more fuller at the top, but I do leave a little bit of room so that way it's just easier to unmold. A couple of things that I like about this mold is the sides do come up, and it has a covering. Now for cold process, I really don't know the specifics as to the covering. I know it's, one to protect from anything getting in there. But I hear a lot about gelling and things like that. So I don't know if this has something to do with it. But I like it because nothing gets in it while it's setting for the 24 hours. I use detergent-free soap, which is still melt and pour, but it acts like a cold process. So typically my routine is I do the soap, I wait 24 hours, I unmold it, cut it, and then I wait another 24 to 48 hours before I wrap it in saran wrap. I think one time I waited 24 hours, I cut it, and then I tried to wrap it and it started to melt. So I needed to wait that 24 to 48 hours after the cut. So far, I haven't had any clients to tell me that their soap melted on the way or there was dew on the soap. So I've been really blessed on that aspect. I put my products in my closet. It's the coldest part of my house. And I have the door closed and lights out unless we have to go in there. So you just want to make sure that your soap is at a very cool place. Another question that I get a lot is my Honey Almond Joy. Let me take my box off so you can see. When I was thinking about doing it, because I use honey soap, honey detergent-free soap, and the fragrance was honey almond, I was like, well, let me go ahead and try to do a honeycomb effect. So I did some research. And a lot of the times, either the mold, you had like one of those small molds, like 6 in a thing, and it has the honeycomb and the bee. So you could do that. Some other people pour their soap and then they I use bubble wrap. And you want to do it, like you want to do the bubble side face down. That's how you're going to get the effect. So some people fill their soaps up and then they place the bubble wrap on top, and that's how they get the top. What I did is I did it kind of differently. I actually put the bubble wrap at the bottom, and I tried to really make sure that it was kind of even and that there was no gap. And then I poured my soap, and so my bottom actually became my top of my soap, and that's how I got the little honeycombs. Now one thing, and this was a lesson learned, I needed to probably have some sort of double-sided tape to make sure that when I pour the mold, nothing seeps between the bubble wrap and the silicone mold. Because, come to find out, when I unmolded it, some of the bubble wrap was embedded in my soap. So it took me quite a while to make sure that I got all the bubble wrap out. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that is so crazy. So if you're going to do it to where this is on the bottom, make sure that there is no gap whatsoever. So that way when you pour your soap, it goes right on top and not seep in between the bubble wrap and your silicone mold. Another question is, a lot of people are wondering where I got my music from on the Mo video. Well, I downloaded it from YouTube, and the name of the song is Guitar Del Mar, and it's Balearic Cafe Chill Out Music. That's where I got it from. I subscribed to him. I will post a link in the description box so that way you can check out their music. I just love like Latin, chill, lounge type music. So anytime that I need to add music to my videos, whether I'm fast forwarding or not, I will try to choose something relaxing. I don't know if it's my massage therapy person inside, but I just really like relaxing music. So these are just a few of the tips and tricks for those of you that are wanting to try the swirling technique. Again, you can try any cold process technique to try to get a swirl in your soap. Just be patient. If it doesn't come out the way you want to, don't give up. I mean, there's a couple of them that I'm going to actually chop up, melt, and make a whole new soap out of, because it just did not turn out right. So you're not the only one. A couple of them didn't turn out the way I wanted to either. So I would really recommend that you do a test batch in a small container, so that way you're not wasting a whole soap if it doesn't turn out the way you want to. That's a lesson learned, but I actually don't mind doing it in a bigger mold, because, you know, even though I have it one way in my head, it turns out something more beautiful when I actually unmold it and cut it. So I hope that this helps. I hope that you were able to get a little something out of it, and I'm really glad that I was able to share this with everyone. And have a wonderful morning. Peace and blessings. Bye.